Hello, people of the internet, and welcome to another episode of the Shuwatch podcast. Since G-Fest is right around the corner, actually, one of my dearest friends, Matt Dennion here, actually suggested doing this little impromptu episode to check up on how things are going between him and Chris Martinez. So give it up for, as I previously mentioned, Kaiju thriller novelist Matthew Dennion.
Hey everybody, how are you guys doing out there? It's good to be back with you, and things are not going well between Chris and I. That's why we're here today, to work out these issues. We tried counseling, and Kaiju Noir seemed like the next best step, right, Chris?
Yeah, the lawyers really weren't doing anything for us. And in fact, I don't think legally I can talk directly to you, so I'm just going to speak to Andres and he can relay.
And of course, that is the one and only Chris Martinez, the co-creator and artist behind the Fire Beast Dorugan series.
And just to be clear, Chris and I, for anybody who doesn't catch our sarcasm, are really good friends. So, I want to try to start off with a little humor there. So
Allegedly.
Oh,
so,
hold on. You were being sarcastic.
Why is mommy and daddy fighting?
That's what happens when you're not around, Andres.
It's like,
well, I get him for the next 2 weeks.
Well,
frighteningly going to be true for next month.
I guess he gets to spend his summer with you, huh? Is that the deal? You're going to spend his summer with Chris?
Yep, this summer I'm going to be with Chris.
Well, because you're abandoning him.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be at G-Fest.
Oh, yes.
You're going to abandon us.
I am. I won't be at G-Fest this year, sadly.
See, even your phone is reacting sadly to it.
Oh, I know. It's all my friends congratulating me on a successful trip to Six Flags today, so.
Oh, okay. This guy's going to Six Flags. I guess everything's all hunky-dory with his life. He's too good for us.
Living a high life with the Looney Tunes. What do I need you G-Fest people for?
I don't need Kaiju Noir and Chris Martinez. I got Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck.
Damn right.
I'm going bigger and better things, guys. So
we'll be making a whole Matt Dennion extended universe. It'll be a big mess until we get our female character on there, and then everything will be fine.
Right. That's you got to pander to all demographics now.
Exactly.
You got to add your female characters. Got to add your black characters, your Latino characters, your gay characters, your transgender characters. You got to have that whole rainbow there.
And it's all going to be one character.
It's all one character. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have a trans, Latino, African American, Asian, paraplegic, the person.
Hey,
it's going to be called Chimera Tumblr.
Oh dear God! It's going to be the Chimera. That would be a perfect name, the Chimera of Tumblr. Hey,
we love everybody here, right? So we make room for everybody. That's how we roll.
Whatever it is, it prefers its own set of pronouns, and if you start assuming its gender, it starts going out of control and goes on an offended rage.
Yeah. Actually, I think we're just talking about that person.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
There's Chris with this whole metafiction stuff again, right? He's going
yes. That is exactly it.
That's exactly what it is.
That is, yes. That is the metafiction. That's not so metafictional if you think about it. But sometimes true life can be just as scary, if not scarier, than fiction.
Very true.
But speaking of our own sets of fictional universes, Matt Dennion, after I recorded the crossover, the episode of Kaiju's Corner with Crooked Lore Productions on crossovers, Matt Dennion came to me and said, "Hey, we made a couple of crossovers. Let's talk about that." And I said, "Okay, that sounds like a great idea." So I figured for this episode of Shuwatch, I figure, it'd be a great idea to bring two previous guests back and just, shoot the shit and talk about how they've been doing on their most recent projects, and maybe talk about some other things, maybe freeball a couple topics down the line. So, where do you guys want to take this thing for? Where do you guys want? Which direction do you guys want to start off with this episode?
You want to handle it?
It's up to you, man. We probably should have worked this out ahead of time. So, but do you want to start talking about the crossovers we did? Like, since just to follow up on Andre's crossover episode, like you said, and then we can go from there? Because we had an interesting path to get to the first Dorugan story, I feel like, right? So we haven't really talked about it with each other or for other people to hear, right? So that might be kind of fun.
Okay, so... basically, Matt and I produced a 4-page crossover comic with Atomic Rex and Dorugan, which it's appearing in print in GFan. We're not exactly sure when, and it's digitally in which magazine, Matt?
All Out Monster Attack? All Out Monster Assault? I gotta check this.
Oh, is that the...
All Out Monster Revolt. All Out Monster Revolt. My apologies to All Out Monster Revolt. It's coming from those guys. Yes.
Okay, because I know there's that MAT magazine, Monster Attack Team.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It's like, how many magazines are there now?
Quite a few, especially digital ones. But good news is All Out Monster Revolt's totally free. So all of our fans will be able to check this one out for free there if they don't subscribe to GFan. So, and as soon as it's out, Chris and I will certainly put it up on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and our front lawns and wherever else we can put it up. So
okay. In that case, I'll try to put their link into the description below for them to check out their sites.
Okay. Do you want me to send it to you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that would help. So how did you guys come across All Out Monster Revolt? And is there a particular reason as to why the comic itself is not going to be on GFan magazine?
I know the comic will be in GFan.
Oh, okay. And then, so what is going to be on All Out Monster Revolt?
The comic as well.
Oh, so two spots then. Okay.
Yeah, basically, and I just had to apologize to the guys over at All Out Monster Revolt for this the other day, and that we wanted to make sure that we could reach as many people as possible, so we wanted it to go both print and digital, because I find for my audience, at least, I don't know about you, Chris, feel free to chime in, that I have probably like a 50-50 print digital as far as my sales go, so I want to make sure it's available in both formats. So GFan doesn't have a digital format. I've worked before for the guys at All Out Monster Revolt. I think they actually contacted me to write like a few stories for them, sort of like subcontracting. So I did that. But they're good guys over there, and they put together a pretty good magazine. So they were happy to take the story, the comic. They just thought that they were getting exclusively. When I explained to them that we wanted to hit both markets, they were cool about it too. So I appreciate that from their aspect.
Cool.
Yep. Because basically we decided to do it as kind of a sampler / promotional piece, so that we could not only get crossover fans, but hopefully get more interest in both of our properties.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, speaking of which, what was the whole collaboration like between you two?
I thought it went very well. Chris was super fun to work with, in my opinion. We had done a story for GFan before, so we knew each other from there, where we did a Dorugan story with GFantis that I think at first, Chris, I sent you like one draft, and you kind of liked it, but you showed it to Claude, and he said, yeah, this is almost exactly what I got planned for book 2 of the Dorugan comic, right?
Yeah. It was uncannily similar, so I guess great minds think alike.
Yeah, but it actually worked out really well, because then we had the opportunity to go back and to do the Dorugan story sort of like it was two guys in suits making a movie, kind of like the Godzilla Battle Royal type thing or something like that. So it worked out really well, because we kind of make it kind of like funny, and, there's pieces falling apart and stuff, and a guy's head falls off the costume, and it was really fun.
Yeah, it turned out really well. I only regret that the art to go along with it didn't actually get printed in that issue.
Yeah, that kind of sucked. Chris did a tremendous piece of art for it. By the way, the story and the art are all free on Smashwords under GFantis versus Guest Monsters, so I'll send you a link for that too, Andres, if I think I sent it to you the other day. But if you have a close
awesome cover by Frank Parr, too.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah, tremendous cover by Frank Parr. And many other authors and crossovers included in that, too. So highly recommend it to any of your fans. It's free, so please go check it out.
Were there any other...
And,
sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, so I was going to say we decided to do this comic, and
Yes.
Matt, not being like super familiar with the comic book methods, basically he came up with a plot and wrote out a prose story, which I then kind of adapted into the comic form, and basically steamrolled all over Matt's awesome story with my art. But like any first collaboration, I think it went pretty well, as well as we could get it. And Matt was really easy to work with and didn't mind any changes I needed to make. Because in prose you have a lot more room for alliteration than you necessarily like a 4-page comic. So he was very accepting of that kind of stuff when I had to make it happen. And I think the end result ends up being pretty cool and, a neat little addition to the meta, like, Dennion and Martinez universe.
Right. So,
Yeah.
I do want to ask, like, within the meta Dentinez universe.
Sounds like a breath mint. Like Dentinez.
Dentinez, the flesh maker.
Write that down. We can use that.
There we go.
You can put that in in like the next Fire Beast book. You can have like in the background somebody eating a piece of Dentinez mints, like in a Mentos pack.
I feel like that's how our story should have. We end on a cliffhanger. Maybe that's how it ends. Is Dorugan and Atomic Rex going at it, and they're handing Dentinez, and they're both pretty happy then.
Absolutely, yes. You can have that as commercial. It's like the Dr. Pepper commercials from Godzilla '85.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity. Maybe next time.
So we need see. This is why we can't split custody of Andres. We have to keep him around both of us.
Right.
It's like I'm the one thing holding you two together.
Yeah.
I'm that important.
The actual idea for the story, it's because of the meta aspect of Dorugan, the catalyst for that story was the Godzilla versus Wolfman.
Oh.
Yes.
So how did that came about, actually? Like, which one of you had the idea? Which one of you had the idea? Sorry, go ahead.
Damn it, Andres. Edit that out. Initially, I'd had an idea to do something similar a ways back. And then, like, with Matt and doing the crossover, it worked out perfectly because we worked it into the story that the owner, the company that produced Atomic Rex films and the parent company for Dorugan got together, in a similar way to Godzilla versus Wolfman, where their teams just started doing stuff. And what the 4-page story is, it's not a complete story by any stretch. It's like the remaining footage, like that they shot, like the beginning of it, and the rest was never finished, as far as anybody knows.
Right. Yeah, which was like kind of like the case for Legendary Beast Wolfman versus Godzilla up until a few years ago, where all they ever got was just like few clip, like maybe a minute worth of footage and like a couple of still images. And it wasn't until we had Mark Jaramillo, who graciously had been, getting in contact with the director of Legendary Beast Wolfman versus Godzilla, and by that point we got like 25 minutes worth of footage at the very most, up until the hopeful release at G-Fest. They said it was last year, but it wasn't the case. Maybe it'll be this year. Who knows?
That would be pretty cool, because I've never even seen any footage of it at all, actually.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Oh, we can send it to you. Yeah.
Oh, you have it?
It's on YouTube. I haven't seen it from Facebook. I think Mark, maybe not Mark, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but somebody put it up on Facebook and YouTube, so you can definitely have it. Mark has a much more extended version. He was doing like a late night showing last year at G-Fest, and a bunch of us got to see it, which is really cool. So, you weren't staying at the hotel, Chris. He came and got a bunch of us from our hotel rooms at like 1 a.m. And I was like, you guys want to come check this out? I was like, yeah, let's go. So like 5 or 6 of us went down there. We had a bunch of car bombs as we watched it. It was great.
Wow, that's lucky. That's lucky that you're lucky that you're friends with Mark Hiramio himself.
Yeah, kind of right place, right time thing, you know.
Yeah. So okay, that's really cool. So you were the one, Chris, who had the idea, and so that was my original question. Where within the Dentinez universe, meta universe, does Atomic Rex exist as his own series of movies, or one movie, or just like a novel character?
I think the way we had written it was that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, please, that the Dorugan movies had existed previously in this metafiction universe, and basically that they'd stopped making the movies, sort of like in the Showa era, if you will, of Dorugan movies. And from then time in between, the Atomic Rex came out as a novel and then got picked up as like a big budget, like a hopefully more successful Godzilla 98, shall we say, movie. And like Kristen said, we really liked the idea of from Godzilla versus Wolfman, the special effects people decided to do their own thing. So we had it where like people from the original Dorugan series worked on the Atomic Rex movies. So they called up their friends over at, Chris, what's the name of the Dorugan studio? I can never remember. Koyama, thank you. And they said, hey, we still have both the Dorugan suit and the Pengoro suit, because, you know, we had to put Pengoro in there. I think everybody loves Pengoro, right, Chris? Like,
I know,
where is that?
Whoever sees Pangoro is like, oh my god, that's the most awesome thing ever, except for, like, a couple of people who are like, oh yeah, I also did a penguin cut. Yeah.
And you're like, it's probably not as cool as mine.
Yeah, because I'm kind of a sap, like, the entire Pangoro concept I just basically made because my wife likes penguins.
Aw. So,
But it's cool because, like, at first we thought about King Rex, right? And I was like, can we use Pangoro? He's so cool.
Yeah, and King Rex is basically a ripoff of Atomic Rex without the atomic part. And more king.
Yeah. That's his most important part.
Yeah. King Rex is the Doroverse version of Gorosaurus.
Yeah. So very similar. So, but it worked out well, and that's what we wanted to do. And we had it where, like, they had the two companies had shot sort of like an intro, and then there is a very quick, I guess you can call it, battle between Atomic Rex and Pangoro. And then just as Atomic Rex is about to get to the mainland, Dorugan as the hero shows up to stop him. So,
yep.
That's kind of how it went. And when, like Chris said, we left it on a cliffhanger, but I think it worked out really well. And Chris, you really outdid yourself with the artwork. It looks tremendous, man. So.
Oh, thank you. I had a blast doing it too. Atomic Rex is like really fun to draw.
Did it ever give you flashbacks of when you were drawing dinosaurs as a kid?
Actually, no.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I hadn't thought of it. I hadn't even thought of that until now. Wow.
Oh, Dabby, did you ever draw dinosaurs?
Living my childhood. Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
I drew dinosaurs, but a lot more it was like tanks and army stuff.
Oh, right. You were always the army enthusiast.
Yes.
Yeah, which is what led to you liking shows like Thing of the Sun, Dugram.
Yes. Over the colorful Gundam stuff.
How dare you?
This podcast is over.
I flipped the table over. This interview is over.
Well, I just wanted to say about following up with the collaboration thing or the crossover thing, that doing this crossover with Chris, and I've done a lot of crossovers recently, some much easier, not even easier than working with Chris, some a little bit more difficult, some very difficult, but some that just fell apart. But working with Chris was really good because I feel like if you're going to do a crossover and make it successful, you need both owners of the properties to go in and be like, okay, this is going to be fun. We understand we've got to make this streamlined so it works for both your characters to help them both going forward. Even though this really isn't like an in-continuity thing, but Chris was like super cool to work with that. And like he said, I sent him a script and, he changed the art up and he did a much better job than the original script I sent him. So it's like, okay, cool. Now I'll go back and add words onto this. And then Chris was able to move those around and clean them up. So, it was just, I think that we were able to represent all of our characters in the light that each of us felt they should be represented to positively show them. What do you think, Chris? It was easy to do that.
Super well put. And because we both have like backgrounds in wrestling, it's a good analogy. Like we both work to put each other's characters over, basically.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right. That's exactly what it was. Yes.
Okay.
Whereas, it's just because we're sometimes like I've had other crossovers that fall apart where I'll try to work and the other guy is just wants things a certain way. It's like, no, we have to benefit each other here. The wrestling analogy was a great one, Chris. Good thinking there, man.
Thank you.
And I always aware that this was something I also talked about with Crooked Lore in the Kaiju's Corner episode, where when it comes to crossovers, you certainly want to show like the best of both characters, have each other have the characters complement each other, and not having one easily overpower the other and take the spotlight away from them. Do you think it's when it comes to crossovers, because we've had so many where either things end in a draw or the characters end up teaming up before there's an actual winner involved, do you think it's possible to have a successful crossover and have one character actually be the winner?
Ooh, that would take some...
The only ones I can really... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it would take a whole lot of no ego. Actually,
I feel like you could do it if one character was a hero and one was a villain. Again, we go back to like the wrestling analogy, because I think when we originally started talking about this, I might have even suggested I was okay if Atomic Rex kind of lost or ended. I was leaning more towards the type, but I was okay if he lost. But Chris came up with a really good idea of the cliffhanger ending. So I thought, okay, now that's even better. So we just kind of like let the fans decide at that point in their own individual head, like who they want to win or how it works out. But I do think you could, if like Chris said, if you can check your ego, and if one character is the heel, then it lends itself more to that character not being victorious.
Right. So if you have something like Alien versus Predator, obviously the Predator is slightly less evil than the orbs, so you got to give it to the Predators have to win at that point. Or what's another one?
Or like King Kong versus Godzilla, where that's debatable, but I think as kids we all thought Kong won as because he came up from the water. But
right. I think I think Tomoyuki Tanaka did state that King Kong did indeed won, but yeah, the ending is so vague that it was almost like 50-50 throughout the whole way, and they were setting up King Kong as like the underdog, so you were kind of subconsciously rooting for him at the beginning.
Right. And I feel like our story went that way a little bit too, Chris, where Dorugan didn't show up to the end, and we established like how tough Atomic Rex was, but that's why I was thinking like, and Dorugan's the hero, that it would have been okay if we want to do with him winning, but your ending was so much better, so,
Yeah, there's no need to, like, put one below the other. I mean, we established how mean Rex was by what he did to Pangoro.
Yeah.
But like punting him like a football.
Actually, he didn't even punt him. He grabbed him with his jaws and just flung him.
Yeah.
Size does matter.
By the way, I do have to ask, what is like the origin story behind Pangoro? Like in universe?
I have none.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah. Did he appear in like do you think he appeared in like his own solo movie like Mothra Rodan and eventually got incorporated into the Dorugan universe, or do you think he?
Well, you're just writing it for me now.
Okay.
I mean, yes, I totally came up with that. It's in my notes right here. Right here, I got him.
Pangoro, the penultimate terror. Or Pangoro.
Yeah, and then he couldn't...
Yeah.
Actually, I think what I had come up with was like Pangoro, friend to all children. Okay,
yeah. I could see him being like the Gamera of this universe, or like the Minya of this universe, where he's like the more child-friendly character.
Don't call him Minya.
He's awesome, is what he is.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Sorry about that.
And like, he doesn't even really have any powers. He's just like a giant penguin. And
yeah.
Although, the other thing we're going to talk about, the Kaiju Assault card game, they gave him powers which were hilarious.
Oh, really?
Like, he's got, I think he has a cold breath.
Mm-hmm.
I may be wrong, but then like he has a tummy slide where he just barrels through things, sliding on his stomach like a giant penguin would.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna have to actually do some Pangoro stories now, just because he seems to have blown up.
Yeah, like just like the wacky misadventures of Pangoro.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
It's funny, Chris.
And it's just some kid like having daydreams about hanging out with Pangoro.
Yes. Dorugan said I should learn to fight my own battles, you know? Pangoro's just talking to the kid in his daydreams.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, that's one movie that no one would ever homage except for me.
And you should.
Yeah, I feel like it's not really as bad as much as reputation Godzilla's Revenge has. I think it's not as bad because I think we've certainly seen a lot worse from Japanese monster movies and TV shows.
Yeah, for sure. That was the one I saw the most when I was a kid, because that's the one that was always playing on like the New York TV stations on the weekends.
Right.
And
it's aimed at kids, where I feel like we need part of that genre to still be aimed at kids. Don't you guys think so? Or like,
yeah, and we've even had like a certain, even every franchise I believe has in Japan would have something that's easily more geared towards kids. Ultraman had like a little anime series called Ultraman Kids. Godzilla had Gojirando, which is just like Godzilla and the other monsters as chibi anime characters teaching math to children. Let's see. I'm pretty sure, there was also another, like, there have been tons of chibi Gundam shows. Gundam-san was a recent anime that took all the classic Gundam characters and turned them into chibi forms and just do a whole parody of the original series. When something gets that big, they obviously have to make something that appeals to, targeted towards specific audiences, and kids are definitely the best ones because kids are the ones most likely to buy toys.
Yeah, and Pangoro's great for that. Like, when my kids saw the cover you sent me, Chris, it's hanging on my wall behind me, they loved Pangoro. And then when they saw Atomic Rex fling him, they were mad at me for having Atomic Rex.
No, how dare you, Jim?
Yeah. Daddy, why'd you do that?
It's like you show the clip.
Which is funny, because you didn't do that. I did that.
yeah, I know. But I wasn't going to throw you under the bus,
man. You had to take the heat for that.
Yeah.
It's like like your kids were like that one kid from that clip of The Simpsons. Stop! He's already dead.
I know my wife was pissed off at me for that.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Causing all kinds of
you're sleeping on the couch tonight.
Yeah.
Well, like, no one sees him die.
I thought he landed safely in the ocean, right? That's what I took.
Yeah, totally.
He threw me into the
back
ocean.
to Antarctica.
Yeah, it's like it's like the ending of King Kong versus Godzilla. Kong shows up and just swims away safely.
With Pangoro tucked under his arm, you know?
Yeah. Oh, hey, a black and white football. And then starts walking and swimming away with it under his arm.
But real quick, because Chris touched on this, but I think shortly after we kind of finished that, Chris, is when we were contacted by the Kaiju Cans guys to separately both be in the card game, right? It wasn't like they contacted us together. And
actually, here's when I started talking to you about it, like, it was literally, like, I saw a post by the guy, and I messaged him on Facebook, Brandon. I messaged him, and I'm like, hey, so you've got a lot of these licensed characters, which I'll put licensed in quotes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But
he's referring to your characters, right?
No.
Yes, of course.
Let's go with that. Okay, never mind. We'll go with that.
Yeah. So you have a lot of these, but you don't have any, like, original stuff. Are you interested in doing cards with original kaiju, like my Dorugan stuff? And I'd send him that.
Okay.
And then in the course of this conversation, because, like, I was, like, sitting in a Home Depot parking lot waiting for my wife. I'm like, how about this? And he's like, that's a really good idea. And I'm like, well, you should also check out Matt Dennion's guys, because he's got a whole slew of monsters. And then that gradually snowballed into, like, I think there's, like, 4 sets from different creators now.
Yeah, it's I thank you for doing that for me. Yeah, because Brendan contacted me. I almost I think immediately after that, and we worked out the deal to have almost all of my monsters are appearing in there. And then I don't know if he asked me or he found them separately, but my friend Zach Cole, who's a tremendous author in his own right, by the way. So for your friends listening, please go check out Zach Cole's Kaiju work. They got in touch
I'll put him
with
in
Zach.
the description below as well.
Yeah, please do. If I can find a link, I'll send it to you for Zach's stuff. I'm sure he has a Facebook page. But anyway, Zach then got in it too, and then we kind of had the idea, and I think, Chris, you're still working on that poster, right, of like kind of mine, yours, and Zach's monsters all together? I don't know who else is in the mix, but...
Actually, I just finished all my card art, so this week is when I'm doing the poster.
Oh, nice,
okay,
nice.
cool.
I wonder if they're going to come up with a name, like, I don't know, I think, I should ask this for if, when we eventually bring Brandon on to the Shuwatch podcast, but, I think what he does is he would make these, like, expansion packs and give them names to these expansion packs, similar to what most trading card games do. I wonder if he came up with a name, he has already come up with a name for this, like, creator-focused expansion pack to this game.
Because of that, we're going with Dentinez, right, Chris?
Dentinez.
Yeah, why not?
Dentinez Damnation.
Yeah. I know, like, it's like a different line from his original game line.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I wonder if it's compatible.
It's supposed to be, from my understanding. Yeah, absolutely compatible.
Okay, yeah. No new rules or mechanics or anything.
Nope.
No. I think, and Chris might know more, Brandon was just trying to, his game is doing very well, so they're trying to get away from the previous licensed characters they had and go with...
So where are the profits going to go now that you're focusing on characters that you actually do own and get permission to make?
Well, we worked out our deals.
Yes.
Basically. A lot of it, I think, is really more promotional for us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know, so just getting our characters in different markets so that different people can see them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like, the Kaiju Assault game is pretty far spanning as far as the other characters that it has in it.
Mm-hmm.
So when the players who are familiar with that see our stuff, like, oh, well, we've never seen these monsters before. Let's check this out. And so he's including, like, our links and stuff to our printed materials. So,
yes.
And it worked out.
Yeah. And it was another case of doing a crossover, even with a different, what would you call it, like format with the card game instead of like books and comics. But Brandon was really cool to work with too, I found, Chris. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, because a lot of stuff with my characters isn't really defined or talked about, like they came up with some like powers and like abilities for the monsters that hadn't been defined because a lot of them haven't actually appeared in stories yet, just like in different artwork. So like they had a blast with it. So and some of their stuff might actually end up in stories.
Oh, cool. And conversely, I kind of had the opposite with them, where I had really well defined parameters and backgrounds for the characters, but I can't draw to save my life, so I only had like covers and artworks fans had done, but they did a tremendous job with, fleshing out some of my characters for the first time, really, in like an art form, which is cool to see too. So those guys are really good, and I'm looking forward to that. And that's how we'll settle the whole Atomic Rex Dorugan thing. Just tell their fans to go play the Kaiju Chaos card game,
dude,
right?
Imagine if you should do that. You should make up a 5th page for the comic and say, who will win? You decide in the Kaiju Assault card game.
Ooh, actually, you know what? You should do the voiceover for that commercial.
Imagine we film it at G-Fest. We make it like super 90s style with a bunch of wide angles and like like wide Dutch angles, much like how all the 90s kids commercials were in the day, where it's like, wow, what's this cool thing here?
Yeah, and then just get some kids to like slam the cards down on a table.
Yeah.
That really work.
And then we gotta have like the camera spin around a bunch of times, and we gotta have some rock music in the background.
Yeah. Okay, you just made more work for yourself, Andres.
put a little 90s like VHS looking filter over the whole thing.
I actually have an app
colors
that
faded.
can film.
Yeah.
I have an app that films VHS style.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. Oh, actually, Matt.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Zach, I've been trying to get in touch with him because I don't have colors for his guys. I only have black and white sample art.
Okay.
So you talk to him.
Yeah, I'll get in touch with him tonight. As soon as we get done here, I'll send a message to you and him and say, hey, Chris needs colors for your character, so he'll get back to you right away.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I wish Matt could be there so we could actually settle the question in person with the game.
You guys playing the card game as well?
Yeah.
I've never played actually. Have you, Chris? We go for the first time.
Yep. 'Cause I think I'll probably actually buy it when I see them at G-Fest.
Yeah, I'll definitely do the same as well. Because
buy all the packs of Dorugan. Don't worry about the Atomic Rex ones.
Darn you, Chris! Darn you! Martinez is over.
It's like
without Dennion, Andres. Without Dennion.
Hey! I had him first.
Pentinez? No, Pertinez.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's right. Get Zach on here. We're going Colden. I like it, Colden.
If you want to make it even rougher to say, put Claude in there.
Oh, there you go.
Doesn't go with it.
No, it really doesn't. It sounds like a colonoscopy or something. I don't know.
Martoad?
Oh. Well.
We'll
see what happens. I'll get an angry message about that, I'm sure.
Andres just it out. Right.
It's like why does this always happen to me?
You bring it out in people.
I guess so. It's like, what did I do to deserve this? But anyways, egos aside, there was one more question I had about the Atomic Rex versus Dorugan story, and that was, what year did does this metafictional fan film take place in? What year was it made in?
Oh,
let me see. Hold on, I'm pulling up the.
Oh, good. You got the
page.
Yeah.
Let me see. Where is this? Everything's located handily in a folder filled with angry penguin photos. Let me see. You can keep talking. I'm just reading through this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see. Oh, and so the next thing you guys did was Dorugan versus G-Fantas, or G-Fantas versus Dorugan. Did that came before or after the this 4-page comic collaboration?
That came before. I think the way it worked out is I'd actually first very briefly met Chris at G-Fest 2 years ago, and I bought the original Night of the Fire Beast, which I took back to my hotel room, and my kids found it and thought it was a great coloring book because it was in black and white. Mm-hmm. So they colored up the whole thing, and then and so I was like, okay. Well,
by the way, I'm going to need a colorist for the next one, so I'm going to keep them in mind.
Oh yeah, please do. They need to start earning their keep around here, for goodness sake. So,
next thing you know, they're gonna. Next thing you know, it's like they're 7 today, but tomorrow, who knows? Next year they're going to be 18.
There you go. Yeah. But anyway, I think did I post on Facebook then, Chris? So I was doing the G-Fantas Versus series and looking for more people, and you came right back with, hey, let's do the Dorugan story, right? Is that how we got back on that? Okay.
Yep.
And I was super excited by that because I love the whole concept of the metafiction with Night of the Fire Beast. And like I said, at first I tried to do it more serious, and thankfully that didn't work out. So we went with the more comical route. And honestly, Chris, it's one of the stories I get the most positive feedback on. I mean, everybody likes the whole series, but because that one's such a change of pace from everything else, it really sticks out.
And people like it even though it's campy and not serious.
In jokes. We play to our strengths. Unlike
We totally
some
do.
people. So anyways, invisible shots fired by the aside. So where does this Dorugan versus G Fantas fictional film, where does this movie fit in the Dorugan metaverse?
Ooh, I don't think it's ever really defined because it's only like a very brief story. So
okay, so
I don't think it was defined. Yeah,
No,
and the Atomic Rex one doesn't actually have a year on it, which is good.
Okay, so this could be just like its own little non-canon thing.
No, I think it's canon.
Okay.
Just like it seems based on the dates given in the background, it could have been like late 70s to early 80s, or maybe like early to mid 80s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But the less we define, the less we have to explain.
Yeah, I think it's
I
better.
think like maybe eventually when this Fire Beast series finishes with Fire Beast Legacy, you should have like a full timeline at the end of the comic or at the beginning or end of the comic to show like the full history of the Atomic Rex thing series.
That's going to go in the big collection book.
Okay,
eventually.
yes. Because I'm not sure.
Oh, really?
It's not sure. I'm not sure if we ever talked about this on recording, but you have mentioned that I think you and John mentioned that you guys want to put all 3 books together as one collection.
Right, and then with a bunch of background material and film history stuff.
Yeah,
Chris, you got my full permission to put the Atomic Rex one in there too, if you want, man. That'd be awesome.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Yeah. So like all
Okay,
the
just
material.
record it now. It's on there. So, yeah, it'd be great if you could do that.
You heard him.
So like if you buy it, you'll get the exclusive 4-page comic, never before released on print.
Yeah, and I'm totally behind Atomic Rex being campy and that at the end, so I'm all for it. Let's do it.
Although I imagine you end up having like the Fire Beast Legacy, which is a book that's meant to be taken seriously, but turns out to be campy, and you can write a whole metafictional story about how the director went through a bit of a meltdown.
Oh yeah, because like it's kind of the Michael Bay Dorugan, so yeah, that's not far-fetched.
Yeah. Well, do you think Michael Bay tries to take himself seriously? Because I get the feeling that he is the kind of person who just doesn't care either way.
Yeah, I think if he's getting just a producing credit, then he's just cashing checks, and that's about it.
Yeah, he comes across as the kind of person who doesn't really have any sort of integrity, where it's like, oh, this is my last Transformers movie. No, wait, this is my last Transformers movie. I don't care anymore at this point.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I was making the kind of money he is, I wouldn't care either, right? Like, if people keep shelling out cash for it, might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of movies, I have to mention, I don't know if either of you have ever heard of Cyclops movies.
Oh, you mentioned this before in our last conversation, but never on recording.
Yeah, so I just signed on to do the DVD art for their next picture, which is Quest for Uranus.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Mark Justice is awesome, it's totally super campy, 50s style sci-fi.
Nice.
And yeah, it's gonna be fun, and that would be how I would want to do a Dorugan trailer, just totally goofy. But check out Cyclops Films. They have a couple of movies that you can see trailers to on YouTube, which are awesome. Sorority Sisters versus Sasquatch and Monster of Party Beach.
I like these titles already. They sound very much so like this, the kind of schlock you would see at a 1950s B-movie drive-in theater.
I feel like I feel a couple more review episodes coming up. Andre's movie review episode.
that would be great.
Sasquatch is technically a kaiju.
Yes, he is. Yes, you got the kaiju, you got the cryptids, you got a bunch of cross fan bases there.
Yeah, we had a giant Sasquatch in Operation Rock. Went crazy.
Yeah, that is true. You had Bigfoot in there fighting your cyborg Thunderbird.
That's right.
And so, that does remind me of, So it seems to me like a lot of filmmakers nowadays, especially indie filmmakers who have a lot of love towards these older, campier, sillier, goofy movies, that these were movies that a lot of these movies I noticed, like in the past, were trying to take themselves seriously, but we kind of saw them as so bad they're good, or we enjoy them because they are, because there's a little bit of datedness, but it gives them a charm to them. And nowadays we have people who kind of pay homage to those kind of movies. We had stuff like Kung Fury, we had Black Dynamite, and even stuff like
Danger 5.
Danger 5, yes, Danger 5. So a lot of this stuff is kind of recreating that campy vibe, but at this time they're not taking themselves seriously. It's more like a tongue-in-cheek, wink at the audience sort of deal. I notice a lot of that. Do you think, is it possible to actually make that style of action movie, but actually try to take it seriously? Because I don't think you could. I've heard some people, some like purists in certain movie podcasts, they would kind of be like, they don't like the wink nudge nudge approach, and some have complained that they want to see something that's taken a bit more seriously. But can you honestly actually do something like that if you're trying to homage something from the past of that particular style of film?
See, I think that's a weird area, because you could take the production of that kind of movie very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And make it professional and stuff, but also make it tongue-in-cheek and campy. Like, the thing that preceded Danger 5 was a thing called Italian Spider-Man, which totaled like 1970s Italian, like, goofy knockoff superhero. And they took the production very seriously, and like they made it look like a very crappy film from the 70s. But I think if you make the nods and winks as they would be in a film like that,
like more subtle,
or make it realistically.
Like I would say, like Black Dynamite did a good job of doing that, because they would have like certain instances where for like a split second you would see the boom mic, and the actor who's Michael J. White, he briefly looks up at the boom mic, or there's a moment where car, somebody stops the car, and then when he gets out, he forgot to put the brakes on, and that was a legit mistake that they actually kept in the movie.
Right, and that's the difference between like Kung Fury. I think like they, that was a little over the top, but like I said, it's a weird area, but if you do it as it would have been, it's not really over the top. It's kind of a nod and a wink, but also more of just an homage.
Yes, the only thing I think of, and I just listened to your review on this the other day, Andres, was the sadly with the passing of Adam West, but the Return of the Cape Crusaders animated film, where granted they'd set up the 66 or 60s Batman as can't be to begin with. But when you look at however many years later, I think this came out last year, right? The animated film, it was actually done in that same vein, but they did manage to wrap like a really good story in there too.
Yeah, they did. Surprisingly, rather like somewhat of a complex story that felt like it felt like a bigger budgeted version of the show with a larger scope, thanks to the animated nature of the movie. For anyone who hasn't seen Batman Return of the Cape Crusaders, I would highly recommend it, especially after the unfortunate passing of Adam West.
And
I actually haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Oh, it's really good, Chris. You should definitely check it out.
I can send you a link. I know where to find it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering, Chris, real quick, did that type of series influence you with Dorugan at all? Because when I read about that passing, it was one of the things I thought about. Is I thought you and your writing and your art does a really good job of where the characters in the story are taking everything like it's very seriously, but as a reader, you're obviously throwing a few nods and winks at your reader in the story as you do.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I couldn't even say no to that. That's absolutely what I was after.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, you nailed it. So just but I was just wondering that as thinking about that, I thought that your series does kind of remind me of that 60s Batman series. But I think you'd love the animated film. So yeah, go check it out.
Quick, get the anti-Garan bat spray.
Yeah.
Okay, and so let's see. So we talked about the G-Pantist crossover, the Dorugan Atomic Rex crossover, the Kaiju Assault crossover. Is there anything else that we want to mention that was about the any other crossovers that you guys have worked on so far recently?
I'm working on with just those out there off fast with Frank Parr and Wayne Smith on an Atomic Rex versus Arrakis.
Okay.
Yeah, Arrakis. They told me it's Arrakis.
Okay.
So although we're calling it Arrakis X Atomic Rex actually, and it's another one where you've got seen Frank Parr's art. He's doing a really tremendous job with Atomic Rex in that one as well. And he actually did it black and white at first, and I thought it looked great. And then he sent me he's like, I want to do some color. I was like, okay. The color blew me away. And as well as everybody else we've shown it to. We've kept it kind of a little close to the chest. We've posted some things on Facebook. But if you guys seen it, Frank is another tremendous, like Chris, another tremendous artist.
Yeah.
So
I always like his bright and vibrant colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frank's stuff is awesome. I've seen some of the Rex stuff, and it looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And there was another one I remember I wrote down in my notes. It was the G-Pantist Kadoja Atomic Rex crossover that you did.
Yeah, Chris, you did the coloring for that artwork, right? Which did
I did the Denny did the layouts for that and the design, and then I did the inking for that piece.
Yeah, which I greatly appreciate. You did a great job. And that was another fun one, working, much like working with Chris, working with Keith Foster was super easy. Where, like, I pitched an idea to Keith. He loved it. He said, go forward with it. And have you had Keith on before yet or no? Like, if not, he's super cool dude.
Yeah. We talked about it the last time I had Chris on. We talked about getting Keith on. It's like, I do want to get into future episodes, but it's like, unfortunately, we have another episode with you, Matt, in that's been on the back burner for a while. It's like, as soon as I get that, and then this on, then there's so many other video interviews I want to do before then. But it's like, I want to have like a clean conscience. I want to like finish like the stuff I have now before I get the stuff in the future.
That's right. I like that we keep teasing the one we did with me originally, so people keep wanting it more and more.
Yeah.
So it builds up.
Is this one going to come out before that one?
I don't know. What would you like, Matt?
Oh, it's fine. You can do this one first. Dude, I'm purchasing stuff. Whatever. It's another crossover thing. I'll work with you guys.
We're gonna do some time travel stuff we're gonna travel back in time before any of this came to fruition. We're still talking about it in your solo interview.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I hadn't thought about that. So you might have to You might have to do the other one first now, actually, or wait a second.
Let's do time warp again. Anyways, okay. So I'm very glad to hear that went very well, and that was featured in G-Fan magazine, right?
Yes, and again available in the free link at Smashwords, and I'll send a link for you to put up for all your fans too.
Right.
And Chris and I talked about maybe doing another crossover with Chimera and Dorugan, and we just had 1,000 things going, I think, in between, right, Chris? Like, maybe something for the future still, I'm thinking. Like,
I don't see why not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for all of these crossovers between all of your guys' creations, you've spanned across numerous style medias, be it like print, digital, comics, short stories, and even trading card games. What's it been like to see all your characters be portrayed across several different styles of media, and what's it like to be collaborating with people to experiment outside your normal realm?
You go first, Chris.
It's a lot of fun, actually, and the best part is that all of the collaborators are super respectful about the other's characters. So there's not really any kind of arguing over stuff. Everyone just wants everyone else's characters to do well and be seen by more people.
Mm-hmm. I see. As for you,
yeah, I would totally agree, and I've learned so much working with Chris and working with Frank and Wayne. Like Chris had said, I really hadn't done much in the terms of writing for like a comic book, and both Chris and Frank and Wayne were super cool about helping me to get better at writing in that format, like because it is, like Chris said, it is different than prose writing, but they were super cool and super helpful for with me. So, I've been able to take their criticism and grow from there. Mm-hmm. So. Which I think is a good thing.
Instead of complaining about it on Facebook.
Yeah. So, it's been quite enlightening and a good learning experience for me, and it's been super great. Like I've been a fan of Chris ever since I first came across his work. So to work with Chris is super cool. And the same with Keith Foster, and I think I mentioned before I worked with Jeremy Robinson on one of the stories from Nemesis, which. It was super cool. So, and he didn't have to take time to help me, but he did. And like Chris said, everybody's been, pretty respectful. I've only run into one case where that didn't work out, but everybody else has been super respectful and helpful. So
right. And you guys, both of you, I talked about how pleasant it was to work with different people and how respectful everyone has been to everyone else's characters. I guess because all of you are creators and each of you kind of come from a similar background of creating your own character from the ground up. And so it's like you relate. I can assume you guys are able to relate to one another as individual creators.
I would say so, right, Chris? Yeah, man.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. And it's, I think it was as much, and I got this from Chris, that I wanted to help put Dorugan over, I think as much as he wanted to help put Atomic Rex over, and we were working together. Does that sound about right? Like,
yeah. I mean, it benefits everyone if more people find out about creator-owned kaiju.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not a lot of people realize they're out there.
Yeah, and I've come to have a lot greater respect, like for creators, individual creators such as yourselves, creating original art characters and art and all this sort of stories as well. And it's actually been a huge inspiration for me for trying to get my own story off the ground. With dear old Draco Azul. And so I found that you guys and your work has been much more inspirational for me. And not to knock against people who have mostly been relying on licensed characters in order to gain fame, not to knock them again, because those people I feel are just as talented, but to be able to put the extra effort into something that isn't as popular, but trying to make it popular, working yourself from, like I said, the ground up, I find that to be much more inspirational and awe-inspiring to me personally, and I would love nothing more than to help you guys along the way as much as I can.
And that's why you won your Dory Award.
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
You did win a Dory Award.
I still have it displayed up there in my room on top of my bookshelf.
But I was going to say, I think what you said is absolutely true. Like, as much as I'm a friend of Chris, I'm also a big fan of Chris and his work with Dorugan. So that, helped me want to really help bring more people to Chris's work, bring my fans to Chris's work, to see that, So I think that's one thing that really helps out the crossover thing. And then Chris does the same for me,
vice versa. Yeah.
I really think, absolutely.
And it goes for, like, Keith Foster and Denny and, like, everybody who's doing their own thing, because, we don't have the names like Godzilla or Gamera or Ultraman,
And again, not to knock against them, but it also feels like you guys have a lot more integrity as artists to rely on your own stuff, I think.
Well, I wouldn't say it's more integrity. It's more like, if it's a sure thing to do something that's already proven. So, like, you can't blame somebody for, like, oh, well, I want to draw some Godzilla stuff. I'm going to draw some Godzilla stuff. Mm-hmm. And, somebody's going to like it because it's Godzilla. And, a lot of the guys and girls that do, like, prints and stuff like that are fantastic artists. Mm-hmm. But it's a big gamble to not do that and instead do something that nobody's ever seen before. Mm-hmm. That's unproven. I can guarantee you that, like, a lot of the the people selling like Godzilla or Gamera or related art, they'll do way better than Matt and I at any given convention.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right, because
money-wise.
because the majority of people tend to go for something that's familiar and something that's safe. Some people don't want to go outside their comfort zone.
Yeah, so like
Right.
it can be a hard sell for the original stuff, but
Right,
like in the end,
Mm-hmm.
I can, I'm happy with what I'm doing, and if I sell 4 books to somebody, then that's 4 more people that have seen it.
Right. And I guess like could it be one of those things where it's like the bigger the risk, the greater the reward? Or at least like in terms of like personal satisfaction?
In theory, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In practice, not so much.
Yeah, it's like that old proverb, fortune favors the bold.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
It's been fun for me, I'll say it, to,
Mm-hmm.
See if I could do this with original characters and, put it out there and get fairly positive response. And then, I guess Chris might seem like make enough to make it worthwhile for me to keep doing it, and neither Chris or I does this stuff for a full-time job. So,
Right. And that also helps a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't want to feel like it's a job. Do you feel that way too, Chris? Like you don't want to feel like your writing and your artwork becomes like a job, more as like a fun hobby you can make some extra money off of type of thing? Like
Not until I'm down to the last few pages. Then it feels like
yeah.
Like, you're cutting close to like, what do you call it? Like cutting close to the end of the wire there.
yeah. Then it's kind of like a job, but otherwise, no. I'd still do it anyway.
Excellent. Okay, so the last question I had here was that I don't want to briefly bring this up because we're talking about creator-owned characters and how fortunate you guys are to be working around this independent scene where you have this much creative freedom and ownership of your own characters. Compare that to like most of the bigger companies in like such as Marvel or DC, where most of your contributions you don't really get to own a lot of your contributions. Rather, like the company owns your character and your work, and you don't really see any sort of compensation outside of like what they initially pay you to write and draw. Would you recommend people who want to get into art, especially get into the comic industry, would it be safer to go the indie route, or should they take the risk of going the more mainstream big business comic art route?
Well, that depends on specifically what we're talking about, because if we're specifically talking about kaiju stuff, it's simple math, because how many Godzilla comics are there?
A lot at this point?
No, like how many are there currently being produced right now?
Okay, I guess like oh, you mean ongoing series? Yeah, like one. Yeah, one. There's no
one.
Yeah, they only have a miniseries now. They don't have an ongoing to go along with it.
Right. So at any given time, there is one Godzilla comic being produced. So what are the odds of somebody becoming the artist on that?
Very low.
Right. So in that instance, your better route would be do your own monster comic, and then maybe eventually somebody who's in a position to offer you something like Godzilla will see it and like it. If you're talking like mainstream stuff, like Marvel, DC, right, Dark Horse kind of stuff.
Yeah, like superhero stuff.
Yeah, like with that, it can be a safer route to go the more mainstream. But even then, the jobs are limited, which, it used to be you would do your samples and try and get work. And then later, if you wanted to do your own project, you could maybe use your name to help with that. But now I think there's more and more artists who are trying to get the limited jobs. It's the same analogy with the Godzilla comics. There's a lot more people than there are comics to draw or write.
Yeah.
So, and people who produce those books, if they, just as an example, if they see an artist who's done an entire series of their own stuff and already proven that they can produce, just by themselves, making their own way and their own deadlines, that's actually more likely to get a job like with a mainstream company than somebody who has really cool art, but you don't know actually if they're going to meet their deadline.
Very interesting. That's a very interesting perspective there.
I would say the only thing real quick is that, and I don't know nearly as much about the comic book industry as Chris does, but the one thing about owning your own characters is that, like, when things like the card game came up, Chris and I were able to, handle all those negotiations ourselves and, put together a deal that was really good for everybody and promote our characters more, where if we were working for a larger company, you wouldn't have that kind of freedom, right, Chris?
Right, exactly. In fact, you might not even know that those characters were in something.
Right.
Until it came out.
Right. So.
Yeah. Okay, it's something I've been thinking about for a while, especially since one of my recent adult students, I was talking to her. She's a fan of American superhero movies, and she was very surprised to learn that unlike the Japanese comic industry, where you get to write, draw, and create and own your own characters and stories, it's not so much the case when it comes to writing any sort of story for Batman or Spider-Man or Godzilla or anything else like that. Anything you make,
exactly.
The ownership of the big company, and are there any royalties when it comes to the comic industry? Like, does Frank Miller get a piece every time The Dark Knight Returns gets sold?
That depends on the individual contracts and the level you're on.
Okay.
I mean, Frank Miller, I think, does.
Okay, but not like the regular person who's currently writing for, like, Captain Marvel or the Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy.
It may be the case, depending on, like, whatever, like, the current standard contracts are or whatever you negotiate.
Right.
So it's kind of, like, individual. I know royalties used to be a big thing for creators, but I don't know what the situations are now.
Right, because I know in the past so many people have been screwed over from their own creations.
Yeah. Bill Finger only recently got credit for helping create Batman.
Yeah, and
right?
Of course, like the two guys who created Superman, the guy who created Captain America, Alan Moore with Watchmen.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Oh, the guy with Ghostbuster, he tried to Ghost Rider, he tried to sue Marvel, but I think he failed around the time the second movie came out.
Stuff like that, if you created it under a work-for-hire agreement, and you sign those agreements, that's the thing.
Yeah, and that's all I was curious about. Is it still a work-for-hire thing with Marvel, or are they trying to improve on that? Because I know, like, more indie companies like Image, when they first started, they tried to do the whole, like, creator-owned content. I don't know if they still do that, but
it depends on the books too.
Okay.
Like they have there's so many different situations for that.
Yeah. And would you say, like, would indie comics have actually allowed more creator-owned freedom and that sort of thing?
Oh, for sure. 100%. And it's much the same with Matt's novels.
Oh, okay, I see. So
things like his publisher and Amazon and, like, print-on-demand stuff for prose books. That's opened up a lot of avenues for writers who would not normally have had a chance, like, if there were only big publishers.
I see. Very interesting stuff. And I feel like we could definitely go into, like, a whole other conversation when it comes to the comic industry, but unfortunately it looks like it's about time to start wrapping things up. So, where can people find you guys?
Go ahead, Chris. Age before me.
I am at Dorugan.com.
And you can follow me at MatthewDennion.com and also on Facebook as Matthew Dennion or Matt Dennion. I go by both names, so.
All right, excellent. So I'll be sure to place all the links into the description below, like last time, and you can look forward to seeing the slightly outdated but still just as entertaining episode of Shuwatch where I initially interviewed Matthew Dennion. Luckily, you've already seen 2 reviews featuring him and possibly a potential 3rd review later down the line when he and I review Big Man Japan. So
yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so awesome.
I actually got David actually got me a copy of that movie, so thankfully I'll be able to watch it very soon. And as for Chris, you can check out the past collaborations we did. I know we did a review for Season 1 of Voltron, Legendary Defender, as well as doing a couple episodes of Shuwatch with the likes of Jonathan Claude, James Biggie, and of course just chat between him and I. You can check out all of that and more here on the Kaiju Noir channel. So thank you very much. I have been Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir.
And I have been Chris Martinez.
And I have been and still am Matt Dennion.
And until next time, everybody, take care.